Helical knitting is a wonderful technique for knitting seamlessly in the round with 2 or more colors. Today I'll show you how to knit single stripes in the round with 2 colors without carrying or twisting yarns, and how to do the same when you're alternating skeins with hand-dyed yarn. Helical knitting can be used for any pattern that is worked in the round and has a stitch pattern that lines up vertically, such as stockinette stitch, garter stitch, and ribbing. In the description box below, I have several great patterns that use helical knitting if you're ready to try this technique on a new project. And if you're watching this in March or April of 2020, join us in a knit-along called Helical. All of the details are linked below. Let's start with 2 color single stripes in the round. With your first color, cast on and knit 1 round. Now, join the second color and begin knitting in the round. Stop knitting 3 stitches before your next color. This is where the helical part begins. Slip these 3 stitches purlwise. Then drop that first color because you're not going to need it right now, and pick up your next color. It should be right there for you on your right hand needle. Now you just start knitting again. You're all set up and you just keep repeating the same thing. Knit to 3 stitches before the next color, slip 3, and then carry on. Here's a hot tip for you. If you're knitting an infinity scarf or a hat where the beginning of the round doesn't really matter, you should remove your beginning of round marker. It's just a little less confusing that way. If you're currently participating in the Helical, let me know in the comments below what project you are currently working on with helical knitting. As you enjoy this beautiful, seamless, jogless beginning of round, let's gear up for something a little bit trickier. For something a little bit fancier, how about we alternate yarns of the same color with magic loop? Oh, and let's throw in some ribbing and a new cast on to the mix. Let's start with a 2-strand long tail cast on. Take a tail from both skeins of yarn and make a slip knot. Place the slip knot on your needle and hold the 2 strands just like you would for a long tail. You can do this same technique when you're doing a 2-color helical knitting as well. One color will end up as the cast on edge and the other color will be the stitches on the needle. Make sure to cast on 1 extra stitch when using this technique, because once you're done casting on, you can slide your stitches down to the other end of the needle and drop that double stitch off the needle completely. It's time to join in the round for magic loop. Pick either strand to knit with for the first round and work to 3 stitches before skein number 2. We're going to add in a knit 2 purl 1 ribbing this time to show that helical knitting works for any pattern where the knits and purls line up vertically. 3 stitches before the next skein is going to be 3 stitches before the beginning of round. Since we ended with a purl, we're just going to leave the yarn from skein number 1 hanging in the front. You can see that the 3rd stitch we're going to slip is the one that skein number 2 is attached to. Now slip 3 stitches purlwise. After you slip 3 stitches, the next yarn you pick up should be on the right hand needle, ready to go. Get ready to start the round now with skein number 2. Here's where I had trouble the first time I did this. I forgot to include the stitch that the next skein is attached to in my 3 stitches. When you slip your 3 stitches, the yarn that you pick up next to knit with should be on your right hand needle, ready to go. Now just repeat it. Work to 3 stitches before the next skein, slip 3, and then work to 3 stitches before the next skein again. Maybe this time I'll experiment to see what happens when I place my yarn I just finished with in the back before slipping my 3 stitches. Since the next stitch will be a knit, I don't think that this will matter. Okay, it seems like the transition is not quite as smooth as I'd like. I think I'll just leave the yarn to hang in the front if it's a purl and the back if it's a knit. Now we're in the situation where the last 3 stitches are at the end of a needle. No problem. When you transition to work the next needle, just slip these first 3 stitches and keep on going. I hope you enjoy the helical technique. It's my new favorite way to alternate colors or skeins in the round. And during March and April of 2020, I'm hosting a helical knit along called the Helical. Come join us on Instagram and Ravelry to knit along. All of the details are linked below. And if this tutorial helped you, make sure to share it with somebody that you think would love the helical technique. Right now, I'm working on Traveler's Loop by Dawn Barker. It's a super simple 2-tone garter stitch infinity scarf, the perfect beginner's helical knitting project. I've linked several other patterns below that I think are great for helical knitting. Until next time, happy knitting! Bye!